Okay, so I'm Panera, and I gotta say before I introduce anybody else that I just dicked around with editing software and recording software for the last 10 minutes while these knuckle draggers went on about Destiny and fart jokes. So I'm pretty eager to actually get this started.
Hey, they were good fart jokes.
Yeah,
To be fair, we hear
exactly.
him fapping half the time.
Exactly. So we got Zappy here.
Here.
Yeah, PotatoLiSK.
PotatoLiSK here!
We got Brutaxilos as well.
Hi. What's up?
Okay, and we're talking about the Viper, which has actually been requested a fair bit by the viewers, of which we have a whole shitload more, thanks, I assume, to Nova War showing up on the show.
Also, live TV liking and favoriting our videos helps.
Yeah. Well,
But even the people who hate Adam, if that's possible, still will end up seeing that live TV liked the video.
Yeah, no, he's a really good guy. Like, him and I were chatting for quite a bit over email and whatnot. He's super cool.
Actually, it's not impossible to hate him.
Yeah, and he's not the last celebrity we're gonna have on the show. I guess celebrity, SC2 celebrity. It's not like, well, maybe we'll get Oprah. That's the ultimate goal.
I don't know. I don't want to get too scared.
Okay,
I don't know, man. She seems pretty controversial to me. I don't want kind of like that drama.
Okay, today we're gonna give away a Baneling.
Guys, Vipers. They use blending cloud and abduct. They're flying casters unlocked at Hive Tech. Let's go.
Okay.
We're gonna give away a Viper today.
I don't think it's Hive. It's Lair.
Is it Lair? I think it's
It's Hive.
It's Hive. Yeah, it's Hive.
Fire.
Okay, I want to start off by saying what the fuck is going on with the face of this thing.
Can you
Like-
all
Alright.
right. I haven't played the beta much because I'm lazy and don't like working hard.
Just go and Google like Starcraft 2 Viper, and you'll see the unit portrait.
Hang
Yes,
on.
that's the sexy smile that you're looking at right there.
And it's got several layers of teeth on the bottom jaw. It makes the Hydralisk jerk jaw look almost reasonable. I mean,
I can honestly say I never thought I'd hear you say that.
yeah, like this is just awful. There's like multiple layers of teeth, but they're not consistent like you'd expect with a shark. They're clearly not on like one of those tooth rows like you'd expect with a shark. They're kind of just there.
Nope.
Yeah,
They appear to stick out horizontally on either side, or not horizontally, but the jaw itself extends beyond the head.
yeah. Like, what's up with that? And like the head itself, there's no eyes that I can see. It's just like a bunch of random horns sticking out.
Those are the eyes.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not think of that. Yes. So we've got a flying unit that can't see.
It has horny eyes.
And I honestly cannot think for the life of me of a flying animal that doesn't have decent eyesight.
Bats.
They do have decent eyesight. That's a
Some
very
of them. Okay, some of them do. Yeah, some of the more advanced ones, not
Some
so
do,
much.
but also some don't, hence the saying, blind as a bat.
Okay, so maybe these guys are using some sort of echolocation then?
But then we would be hearing obnoxious
But their
pinging
jaw
noises.
is so messed up. Like, how would you produce a stable sound through that thing?
The way that whales do it, like particularly the sperm whale, is a really good example of this.
Giggity.
They use a set of organs.
I'm
one
sorry.
called
the spermaceti.
the spermaceti and the labyrinth organ. And the spermaceti actually amplifies, and the labyrinth organ does something with volume and pitch. I can't remember because I'm not a marine biologist. But anyway, they are kind of almost like living artillery too, because they can actually focus it. And when they hit you with like their full blast of echolocation, they can actually sort of liquefy the insides of things like squids. Which is pretty.
Sucks to be squids.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. But I don't think we're looking at anything like that. What could be happening is the wings. Obviously not used for any kind of flight, but there is some pretty good evidence. In fact, I know this because it just plain happens that you get insects that will often vibrate their wings or rub their legs on their wings. Obviously, that's not the case here, but vibrating your wings in a certain way can produce certain frequencies of sound, and that's what could be that could be producing the sound, I think.
What leads to the conclusion that the wings aren't used for flight?
Because they're terrible.
It's tiny.
They're
Well,
terrible.
from my observation, here's what I concluded. I think as a game unit, they had to keep the wings like visually like small. I think in an actual like a cinematic or something, they might have bigger wings, and they don't move as slow. I think we just see like the beat frequency or something of the wings when they vibrate. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure that.
I think that's a cop out.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not sure that we can assume that the unit model is wrong. I mean, as soon as we start throwing out what we can see, we might as well make up whatever facts we want about it.
Because I mean,
Could we
mutants have like
please?
crappy wings too, right?
Well, mutants also, yeah, they use gas though, right? That's Blizzard even confirmed it, and I suspected as much before they released that. So,
Alright.
yeah. So it's probably a case like this guy uses a hell of a lot of Vespene, so perhaps Vespene is that inert gas that we need to have them, I don't know, be lighter than air. That said, being lighter than air, on that topic, all these random spikes and the random whatever is going on with those forelimbs, I have
those
no
are all
idea.
just silly.
Yeah, those
are just Zerg designed.
It's got
to make
that spike club tail.
Yeah, they're awful. They're simply awful. They're not only do they look almost reminiscent of the praying mantis, but not. They are clearly designed in a similar way, but the outward spikes and things like that they're terrible. And then the spikes on the tail as well, also terrible. Like if the goal is being lighter than air, or at least weight reduction, like we see in every single flying creature ever, having these superfluous spikes and what appears to be some armor plating on the head, not doing it for me.
Well, the thing is, it's supposed to look Zergy. If we were actually to encounter one, I really doubt there'd be all these spikes coming out of its ass, coming out of its face, coming out of its sides.
Well, here's the thing. With the tail, it almost looks like it's a club or some sort of weapon that it would kind of try to use. I just don't see how you could use that as a flying unit.
Yeah, I agree.
Spinning around like an idiot?
The last part of that, I think, was key.
Yeah,
like an idiot.
Well, like, here's what I'm also not... Right in front of that spiky club, you see that there's actually, like, some weird tail wings as well, but they're, like, just as terrible.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah, and then just in front of that, along the back, you see that row of spikes, but it actually gets bigger. Like, it gets smaller heading back from that series of armor plates. And then sort of mid-back area, it kind of gets really long. And I'm not sure, what is that supposed to do?
I don't know. If it were a ground-based creature, I would say it's some sort of, it might try to root those spikes in the ground when it's abducting things to give it more traction, but again, it flies, so I'm not really sure how that would come into play at all.
I could
potentially... It also uses something just to go bloop and pull the shit.
I could see perhaps if, like, the recurved claws, like, see that on the arms, the longer claws are actually recurved, which is slightly recurved, but not unreasonably so, and that's a trait that is common in vertebrates that climb, trees and things like that. So I could see somehow this thing using its forelimbs, like the front of the forelimbs, to shimmy up or something.
I mean, it looks like a fly leg too. They just have those two little claw things there.
Yeah, like it seems to me like maybe this thing is better for leaping, because you can see the limbs would actually be pretty decent at propelling the animal forward.
Yeah, the limbs do look like cricket legs though, so...
Could it have evolved somehow from the Defiler from Brood War? I mean, there are a lot of comparisons there. It looks fairly similar. I mean, it's a similar body plan. It has Dark Swarm and Blinding Cloud are similar spells. I mean, is there something to be gained there?
They have derp faces too.
Do they really? All right, I'll look.
They both have consumability.
Here, let me pull the image for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not coming across any good Viper images.
Yeah, I really... The thing with the Viper is, like, when you have sort of a aggregate pool of genetic material that you can use, it's not unreasonable that they could take something like Blinding Swarm, which is just like a swarm of, like, presumably smaller organisms. It's not unreasonable that they could transfer that to a different organism. If they are, supplanting full chromosomes and things like that, I mean, why not? Then again, they also don't go out of their way to remove the screeching sound from the nidus worm, so.
But that's also for balance purposes.
Yeah, that is. So we got to try to reconcile.
Otherwise, your base is gone, and now back to throwing multiplayer out the window for terms of knowledge.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at a picture of the Defiler right now, and it looks nothing like the Viper.
Well, I mean, the face doesn't, but the body plan looks reasonably similar to me. I mean, it's got a series of forward limbs, and it's, slender-ish.
Yeah.
Then again, we're also not really going to find an amazing picture of a Viper, of a Defiler, because
See, here's the
8-bit.
here's the primary difference I'm seeing. The Defiler to me looks almost crustacean, and crustaceans are really great because they've got all kinds of, well, a lot of arthropods have this, but I'll use the crustaceans. Basically, they have several sets of antennae. They've got axillopods, which are feeding limbs. They've got like a whole bunch of different limb types.
Yep.
And the segmented body also looks more insectoid to me. Like, honestly, that looks like the abdomen of, like,
Scorpion.
Earwig.
Yeah, like an earwig, anything,
Actually,
right?
that's actually better.
Yeah. So they've got all of the limbs and whatnot. Their face just looks crustacean-y. And they're really lacking. The Viper itself is much more vertebrate-like. So
Okay, so there's not a connection there then necessarily.
There would be a humongous disconnect between the two, and that's
Well, to be
unfortunate.
fair, the Queen changed pretty dramatically too.
Yeah,
Wasn't the Queen like a fat ass in Brood War?
The Queen,
There's
the
a
Queen,
flyer.
The Queen changed dramatically with the addition of, I believe it was Protoss and potentially Terran, Ghost, or whatever DNA. So that explains why.
Actually, I think the official line was it absorbed some of the DNA from the Queen of Blades and possibly some Protoss.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yes, some Ghost, some Terran Ghost, and some It does look Protossy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a word now, Protossy.
So the thing is, I think the Viper started out as something different that has been repurposed almost to replace the Defiler. Then again, why replace something if it works? I don't know. One thing that's bugged me about the Viper is what's up with abduct? How the hell would it pull something?
That's one thing. It's like physically impossible.
Somebody actually did the math on this. There was a thread a while back where they did the math, taking the average weight of a siege tank and the speed at which it pulls the siege tank, and they could actually propel with the same amount of force a Marine into orbit.
Well,
so.
I actually want to see that. I want to see a custom game where you just go around launching Marines into orbit, and the first person get like a full ring around their base or whatever wins.
First one to scrap station and back.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, think about like battlecruisers or motherships. It's like,
how the hell are you gonna pull a flying fucking city?
Exactly. Well, if any of the viewers makes that, they automatically get in on the next video. If you can make that custom map, you're in.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have an obnoxious voice or a terrible accent to the point where nobody can understand you.
Yeah, trolls are welcome.
Trolls are welcome.
We welcome all walks of life. Trolls, armchair biologists, high school students. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he didn't get kicked. He just hasn't been back on. His microphone doesn't work. So yeah, I think if you look at the actual body of the Viper itself.
I have a theory on how it pulls, but go on.
Okay, no, go ahead with your theory. Go ahead.
You know how spine crawlers poke the crap out of things?
Yes.
And we saw, what if it just shoots like a spine out and then it just retracts it really quickly?
Yeah.
Because the spine would be enough to penetrate, yes, I said penetrate, get over it. Penetrate the armor of whatever, and then it would pull it back at such a force that it wouldn't come off.
The problem inherent...
Or claws holding it down.
As a physics major, the problem inherent with the Viper is not that it couldn't grab something, it's more that it couldn't pull something to it. As in, the Viper seems to be a really light flyer. Obviously, we called it lighter than air, and it kind of just floats up there. So if it were to exert some force like that, it would pull itself to something like a Thor, as opposed to pulling the Thor to it.
Yeah, that's something I was going to say.
Yeah, and actually there is a mechanism for this in reptiles, specifically the famous chameleon. They've got a sticky tongue. It's got a really strong adhesive bit on the end, and it shoots out very horizontally and stiffly. And that is actually a really cool mechanism they sort of have repurposed the hyoid, which is really garbagey bone in your throat. That's sort of a throat support kind of deal. it's not terribly useful in humans, but in the chameleon, they actually use it to launch their tongue out with great accuracy. So,
Yeah. Just the thing. There was for the viper, the abduct little picture.
Icon.
Yeah, the icon. They actually have like a claw on the end.
okay, well, that's
If
fine.
we assume that it's an accurate picture.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't have to be like an adhesive pad. There's many different ways to kill the same bird or whatever analogy you want to use. But I was just noticing, if you look at the body itself of the viper, it's kind of strange that the mouth, like the part that we were just harping on that doesn't have any eyes, the mouth area kind of extends forward, and then just before that sort of series of armored plates, you actually get what looks like it could be some eye spots.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I see what you're talking about now.
The blemishes?
Yeah.
The eyes would be very withdrawn, though. I mean, you wouldn't have great fields of vision with that, would
well,
you?
I think that
like a cow.
I think what they would be more purposed for is the whole idea behind having dorsally oriented eye spots is to detect shadows. That was basically what the whole purpose of rudimentary eye spots in many organisms was. And if you are something flying and you are really not terrified of anything below you, which the viper presumably isn't, because it can just blinding swarm or blinding cloud or whatever and fly away, it would be perhaps more worried about things like a Viking or battlecruiser coming from orbit. And so that would be above where, the typical altitude of a viper might be, assuming, they're probably pretty close to the ground to abduct things. So that could actually be a defense mechanism in order to, determine light versus dark. So if you get a big shadow moving across the field of quote, vision, it's gonna be able to react to that. I think that's the logic behind it.
Something that reminds me of is counter shading in like marine animals.
Yep.
So, like if you look at a killer whale, they're dark on the top and white on the bottom. So when you're up from the bottom looking up, they look white and they blend in with the sun, like come the light. And when you're looking down, it looks dark, so it camouflages. So I guess like it can be brown from the top, looking like the ground.
Yeah.
And maybe from the bottom it has a different color. Maybe like it's lighter.
Well, we actually have no way of figuring that out.
Yeah, we have no way.
Actually, when they die, I think they flip over a little bit, and they still look pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so
well,
there's some.
log into the beta and kill some vipers.
Well, here's another interesting.
All mine always die, so that's all I know about it.
Okay, I'm going to point out some other really cool pieces of anatomy, and then you guys can sort of slap fight over what it means. If you look at the shoulder, where it comes in, the arm sort of comes in and joins up with the body itself, you actually see what looks like little tubes coming out.
Those are its nipples.
Okay, well, we'll call them the nipples.
Yeah.
And then just north of there, so on the other side of the most anterior wing, you see what looks like a hole. And I would presume that that's actually where the breathing is going on.
A spiracle?
Yeah, like exactly. A spiracle in an insect. It's not unheard of, and it's a very nice passive way of breathing. The problem with it is that it only works for a certain size. So once you get a certain mass and a certain surface area to mass ratio, having a passive breathing mechanism doesn't work, especially if you're using if you're moving at speeds like the Viper does, or having a metabolism like the Viper has.
Well, how fast is the Viper actually moving? Because in-game speed is clearly not in miles or kilometers per hour, so we actually have no way of figuring that out.
It's moderately, we'll call it moderately fast. Not the fastest thing, but not an overlord, but somewhere in between, fastest and slowest.
Well, again, we can also just say... Oh, wait, physics major, go ahead.
Well, actually, this was a biology thing. I was just going to say my first instinct was that the spiracles could just be vestigial. I mean, they don't matter anymore. Could be, yeah. Needed at some...
I was thinking maybe they can use those spiracles to release the blinding cloud and stuff.
Maybe that's where the tentacle comes from.
I mean, you look at the infestors, they have those tube things too.
See, I think what's going on is the tentacle for abduct. You see how the mouth itself, from the eye spots moving forward, is actually elongated? I think in there is where that launching mechanism is. So where it launches out to snag a colossus or whatever. And then perhaps there's an actual active breathing method going on with these holes. I shy away from calling them a spiracle because we don't want to confuse them with the more passive breathing apparatus that insects use. We want to be able to say, okay, well, maybe there is some sort of active breathing going on, and you see the actual thorax or body midsection, we'll call it, is actually quite bulbous. So perhaps there is actually some really strong intercostals or even a pseudo diaphragm going on in there that aid with breathing through this little hole. And what's interesting is having it right in between the wings would actually expel any waste, presumably carbon dioxide, but who knows. It would help expel and propel the waste away from the hole and bring oxygen towards it, which is really cool.
You know, from my observation, I feel like the Viper's tail is originally designed to be curved forward, somewhat like a Mutalisks. Especially with the spikes, it looks like they're like hitting each other.
Yeah, you know, if it was curved down, like if you look at the spikes just in front of the armor plates or whatever those are, and those armor plates might not actually be armor plates. Maybe those aid with the echolocation. So the wings send out chirping frequencies, and then whatever bounces back is actually picked up on those organs. They might have some sort of membrane or something going on. It's hard to tell from just a picture. Or they might, you know, as you move front to back, they might detect different return frequencies or whatever. But anyway, just in front of that, you actually see those spikes. They kind of look like they're curving. And then I think you're right. Yeah, like it looks like it was originally designed. Although if you look lateral to the tail, there's actually a weird stiff spike heading out backwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's all about.
Well, I
actually
like this curved idea because I was talking earlier about how the tail looks like it could be a club, and it would be a lot easier to use that thing if it was curved forward more.
Oh, you could pick up Marines
Yeah.
with the spikes. Easy.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
would
How?
feel like as a like if I was to design the
No one cares
Viper
about
for abduct, I would rather shoot the like tentacle thing out of the tail, and you can whip it backwards to like pull it back.
I agree.
So that would make more sense, like muscular wise, rather
Yeah.
than shooting
So that-
something out of your mouth.
And obviously
what
this
if
thing
it's
has a huge metabolism too, don't forget, because it uses consume.
Nom nom nom.
Yeah, so it's not using, and I know we've had several comments. I know Zerg somehow uses the creep for nutrients. They don't say, and it's the worst cop out ever. But this guy actively eats Zerg buildings, which is a step above.
From a
so-
distance.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
That's actually for in-game balance purposes and not.
Yeah. We're gonna
Oh, hold on, no,
cost
I have a
stuff,
theory about this.
so.
Okay.
Wait,
All right, so it's got this tentacle, right, that it shoots out for abducting. Could it not repurpose that tentacle to latch it onto a building and absorb the nutrients through that? I mean, it looks like it's a different thing, but that could be, I mean, it could be some sort of translucent tentacle, so then when the nutrients are flowing through the tentacle, it looks greenish.
The problem that I see with that is, in order to get that musculature to shoot out that tentacle in the first place, or the tongue, or whatever we're calling it, you're going to need sort of a large unit of muscles, along with the high respiratory muscle need that we talked about earlier for the metabolism, right? So
Okay.
ultimately, I think that you're trying to do too much with too little.
Okay.
Yeah, but actually, you know, as we've gone on, aside from the like obvious superfluous spiky bits, this thing actually has some pretty sweet design to it.
Wait, what?
You know,
Okay.
like with the giant thorax with the breathing holes, to the extended mouth part and eye spots even, and I don't know what the spikes are necessarily for, but hey, whatever. And even the echolocation is pretty cool too, I think. So, victory.
All right.
Does
So
anyone
all
have-
in all, it's not as bad as the Corruptor.
It's not. I came into this honestly thinking that this thing was a piece of crap, and just like pure, yeah, like, and then as we've gone on, like I completely did no preparation for this at all. This is all shoot from the hip. So we, as we went along, I actually figured, you know, now I like the Viper.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go figure, hey. And just as a reminder, whoever knows how to make custom maps, honestly, seriously, make a custom map where you can launch Marines into the atmosphere.
Wait,
using
and occasionally Marauders.
Or you can just make a machinima video of it. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty sweet too, yeah.
Well, I want to play the mods, so let's be
Yeah,
fair.
I want
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
Marauders and I want to hear Ghosts scream as they get launched.
Okay, yes.
It's getting too hot. Oh shit, I'm in orbit.
It's getting too low.
Yes.
That's-
All right. All right. Well, we're hitting time here. It's about 20 minutes in or so. So, anyone else with anything to say?
I'm done.
No?
I've never used a Viper in game because I'm really bad. at Heart of the
All
Storm.
mine die immediately, so I
Oh yeah, I
have a hard time keeping them alive.
I played a few with River where we did like no rush 45 and it was all right.
No rush 45.
Yeah, well, like just no rush to like just so that I could try out the new units, and they kind of move with a neat little wiggle and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think that before we end this, I just want to point out that having this high metabolism of consume with the breathing holes and everything that we see going on actually makes sense for having some extremely powerful muscles. So perhaps, I mean, Colossus size issues aside, maybe there is a little bit of backing to the whole idea of maybe picking up a Marine, maybe picking up a Hellion, things that are not necessarily light, but certainly not gigantic.
Well, the problem comes in when it starts to abduct things that are significantly larger than itself.
Where am I?
What about two Vipers abducting each other at the same time?
That would be awesome.
I think
Okay, if you can make a video of that.
But I forget what happens.
We'll make Zergs play Red Rover with Vipers on the ground.
Yes. Okay, guys. All right. Well, this has been the Viper episode. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to leave comments, post opinions, things like that, and you feel free to volunteer by volunteering down in the comments.
By spamming his email, preferably.
Yeah,
I will be spotting the comments,
that's the
so no
best
being assholes.
Annoy Panera as much as possible.
That's the goal of the series, after all.
Do not piss off the PotatoLiSK, because you will find your house covered in potatoes, as seen in this image that I will send to Panera to put up in the video.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
All right.